Hi, Kim here at An Oasis of Books. Today I want to do a tag for you. It's called the C tag, new and improved version. And I saw a video for this on Jim's channel. Jim's Books, Reading, and Stuff. I really like his channel, and when I saw the video for this, and he is the originator of the tag, it was so enjoyable, so much fun. I thought, I'm going to do that. And so here we are. So this tag has 7 prompts with an 8th optional one, and it's very book focused, which is why I think I liked it so much. I'm going to try to keep it fast paced and limit my rambling, and we'll see how it goes. So the first prompt is C is for country. What's the last book you read that was written by an author who comes from a country that starts with C, or the last book you read that took place in a country that starts with C? I scoured my Storygraph. I scoured my bookshelves. I can't find the last book I read that started in a country that starts with C, or an author who comes from a country that starts with C. That sounds pretty lame, but it's true. So I finally came up with a book, and forgive me, but how about A Wrinkle in Time? This takes place in the United States, but it also takes place in outer space on several different planets. And one of those planets, in fact, the planet that the big climax happens on, is Camazotz. And that starts with C. So that's what I'm going with. This is one of my absolute favorite all-time books. One of the first books I read as a child, and just amazing author, Madeleine L'Engle, an amazing sci-fi book for people of all ages, in my opinion. Prompt number 2, C is for classics. What is the last classic you read? The last classic I read is Jane Eyre. It was a reread this year, and I loved it just as much this time as I did decades ago. Charlotte Bronte is one of my favorite authors, and I'm actually doing a project this year reading many of her other works and some biographies about her, and even some spin-off mysteries that feature Charlotte Bronte as a detective. We'll see what I think of that. Now, Jane Eyre is a classic novel. The last classic poetry I read, however, was The Complete Works of Emily Dickinson. Probably one of my favorite poets. Love her nature poetry. Love her way with words, making you feel you are in the place she is writing about. And the last classic play I read was Pygmalion by Bernard Shaw. And if you've only seen the movie musical My Fair Lady, which was based on Pygmalion, you need to read the play because much better. Prompt number 3, C is for children's book. What is the last children's book you read? Well, aside from rereading A Wrinkle in Time, which I do pretty much every year, the last children's book I read was Running Out of Time and its sequel, Falling Out of Time, by Margaret Peterson Haddix. Margaret Peterson Haddix is an amazing middle grade writer. She's known for her science fiction, but she also does write some historical fiction, which is what Running Out of Time is. And I had read Running Out of Time many years ago, searched it out, reread it, and it was just as good this time. This is about a girl, Jessie, who lives in the 1840s in Indiana, and her father's a blacksmith. Her mother is sort of the village nurse of sorts, takes care of illnesses. Suddenly, the children in the village start coming down with a very serious illness, and her mother comes to Jessie and says, "You're the only one that can save us, but you've got to leave town." And, well, Jessie finds out that life is not what she thought it was. Great book. Reading that duology sent me off to reading more Margaret Peterson Haddix. And so I read a trilogy. Book 1, Children of Exile. Book 2, Children of Refuge. Book 3, Children of Jubilee. This is a science fiction post-apocalyptic series, and it was excellent. Very, very unusual. She is a phenomenal writer. If you haven't read her, go check out her books. Prompt number 4, C is for cookbooks. What are some of your favorite cookbooks? Well, I'm actually going to be doing a video pretty soon all about some of my cozy cookbooks because I collect them, I use them, I love them. But for purposes of this video, I'm just going to share a few with you that I absolutely adore. This is Supernatural Cooking by Heidi Swanson. Love this author and all her cookbooks. And if you want to get more into natural cooking, she's the one to look into, in my opinion. Another favorite author that I cannot pronounce the name of, Erin Goyoega. This is Bakes Simple. The subtitle of this book is A New Way to Bake Gluten-Free, which I do most of the time, and I have many gluten-free baking books, but this one, absolutely wonderful. For instance, chocolate tahini buckwheat marble cake. How about fig, honey, and lemon tea cakes? Or blueberry crumb coffee cake? Now, the last favorite cookbooks I'm going to share with you are by Erin Gleason, and she has a whole series of them, and they're all done in the same style, and I've never seen anything like it, and it is a feast for the eyes. Gorgeous cookbooks, and also very practical and very delicious. Here are two of them. The Forest Feast's Simple Vegetarian Recipes for My Cabin in the Woods. Now, when I say she has a unique style, and when I say these cookbooks are gorgeous, here's what I mean. Butternut capris. Orange cabbage salad. Baked apple rings. Or how about baked kale and egg cups? And the second one, the Forest Feast Mediterranean, simple vegetarian recipes inspired by my travels. And the recipes are out of this world. Here is tortilla española with rainbow chard. How about carrot pistachio couscous? I really do love her cookbooks. They're just as enjoyable to sit and look at and read through as they are to use and enjoy the food from. All right, I'm going to try to pick up the pace a little bit now. Prompt number 5, C is for comfort zone. What genres do you feel the most comfortable with? Well, I read a wide variety of genres. I'm very eclectic from, week to week, even day to day. And I really enjoy that. There's only a couple of genres I don't read. And so we're going to go through a couple of books from each of the genres I love. Starting with historical fiction, Gold Rush Girl by Avi, Newbery Award-winning author. Let Me Tell You About a Man I Knew by Susan Fletcher, literary historical fiction about Van Gogh, or rather the people he influenced in a very special year of his life. Sawbones by Melissa Linhart, the first in a trilogy I loved. This is a feminist Western like you've never seen. Historical nonfiction is another genre that is a favorite of mine. By H.W. Brands, we have The Age of Gold, The California Gold Rush, and The Next American Dream. And since I just finished The White Ship by Charles Spencer, I'm on to my second book in my Plantagenet project, which I'm doing this year, and it is The Plantagenets by Dan Jones. And the subtitle is The Warrior Kings and Queens Who Made England. Really looking forward to this. Included in historical nonfiction would be historical biographies. This was a great one I read last year. Woman, Captain, Rebel, the extraordinary true story of a daring Icelandic sea captain by Margaret Wilson. The next genre I love is mystery, and I've divided this into 3 categories. First up is cozy mysteries, which are very close to my heart. So we've got Hooked on Murder, which is a crochet cozy mystery by Betty Hechtman. This includes a recipe and a crochet pattern. How about a long-running series I love, Orchard Mysteries? This is One Bad Apple by Sheila Connolly, and of course it includes apple recipes. Then we've got Lie in Wait, the first in the Home Crafting Mysteries by Cricket McRae. This was very unique and very, very interesting. All 5 or 6 books in the series. And another cozy mystery that only came out a couple years ago, Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. Seems to me that everybody loves Vera Wong and wants Vera Wong in their lives. I know I do. Jesse Q. Sutanto wrote a sequel to this, which I already read this year and loved it too. Although this first one, it's just so good. You've got to read it. Moving on to historical mystery. So I've got Murder on Astor Place, which is the first in the Gaslight Mysteries by Victoria Thompson. So these came out about 2 decades ago. Well, the first one did. And I've been collecting them and reading them ever since. This is set in the turn of the century, the 20th century, New York City, and it features a midwife. Another absolutely amazing historical mystery series you might have already heard of because it's so popular and so hilariously funny. Plus it's, archaeology. It's set in Egypt. So this is Elizabeth Peters' Amelia Peabody series, and it is just so fun. One thing I'll say about all these genres that I really love is that, to me, characters are the most important element in a good book. It's what sticks with me, and it's what I enjoy the most. And the characters, all the characters in her books in this series are fabulous. And the humor is so good. Plus, archaeology. Yeah. I also like just straight mystery. So, of course, I've read Agatha Christie. I'm currently reading through her Miss Marple books, but growing up and through my college years and young adult years, I read the Hercule Poirot books so many times. I just love them. They are my favorites. And then a recent series, 2 books in it now, that I'm loving is Nita Prose's The Maid, with number 2 being The Mystery Guest. Very well written, very intriguing protagonist too. Continuing with genres that are in my comfort zone, I would say nature poetry and nature writing. So in addition to the Emily Dickinson poetry I mentioned earlier, I'll also highlight Mary Oliver's work. This is just one collection of her poetry, and it's called Owls and Other Fantasies. And this has 2 essays in it as well, but there's 26 poems in here, 10 of which have not been published before this volume, and it's all about birds. And if you've never read Mary Oliver before, you need to. And if you love nature, you will just be in heaven reading her poems. Another genre, classics. I already mentioned a few earlier, but here's one of my favorites, Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I also love the genre of science fiction. This past year, I read Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary and The Martian, but this one's my favorite. Can't wait for the movie next year. And last year, I discovered and devoured Mary Robinette Kowal's Lady Astronaut series, the first one being The Calculating Stars. So time travel is another genre I really enjoy. It can be done in so many ways, and I'm having fun discovering all those different ways. Last year, I found and binged Trinity Dunn's 5-book series, and it took a while of day and night reading because those books are long. They're 700-800 pages long, but it was worth it. And then I've got this gripping time travel mystery series, gritty crime fiction really. This is centered on Mallory, who is a homicide detective, and in 2019 she is attacked in an alleyway, and while being strangled she switches bodies with a housemaid from 150 years earlier, who also at one point was in that same alley being strangled. And that's the way that time travel works in this series. But she ends up back in 1869, and she's there to solve crime because that's what she does. Another nonfiction genre, just general nonfiction. I'm such a curious person and a curious reader, so I'm always picking up books that look interesting to me, which is a lot of them. Here's a few. The Drunken Botanist by Amy Stewart. This is all about the plants that create the world's great drinks. Amy Stewart is a prolific and fabulous writer, by the way. How about The People's Hospital by Ricardo Nula? Then there's Rooted, Life at the Crossroads of Science, Nature, and Spirit by Leanda Lynn Haupt. I especially love it when I can find nonfiction books that tie into the fiction I'm reading, or to the poetry I'm reading in this case. I've got Emily Dickinson's Gardening Life by Marta McDowell. And this subtitle is The Plants and Places That Inspired the Iconic Poet. I'm really enjoying reading this week. So there are two genres that I'm comfortable with, and if I'm in the mood for them, I really enjoy them. And they are literary fiction, and I showed you one of those earlier. Let me tell you about A Man I Knew by Susan Fletcher. Here's another one I really liked by Jane Smiley, A Dangerous Business. And this ties into my love for California gold rush history. And romance. I do like romance mixed in with my historical fiction or my mysteries, but this one was a straight up romance that I found one day when I was browsing in a bookshop, started reading it in the cafe, and bought it and took it home and finished it because it's that good. This writer, I really like her, Beth O'Leary, and this is The Switch. And what I really liked the most about it was a combination of her characters and the premise, which was something I had never seen done before, and she did it really well. Probably the genre I am the most comfortable with and that I enjoy the most is when it is a mixture of my other favorite genres. So for instance, the Kendra Donovan series by Julie McElwain. This series mixes time travel, mystery, crime fiction really, and romance, Regency romance, and just general great writing, great characters, the relationships between all the characters. I just love this series. Prompt number 6. C is for characters you can't forget. Name some characters that they live in your head rent-free. Well, since it's prompt number 6, I'm gonna name 6 of them. No particular order. Jane Eyre, Jo March from Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, Hercule Poirot by, of course, Agatha Christie, Emerson and Amelia from the Amelia Peabody series by Elizabeth Peters, and Laura from Laura Ingalls Wilder's Little House on the Prairie series. Had to go draw the blinds because the sun was coming in here so strongly, and I hope you don't mind I have the fan on. It is so hot in here. But we're to the end of the video almost. This is prompt number 7. C is for crime. What is the last crime novel you read? And that would be Track of the Cat by Nevada Barr. I just talked about this book in my July wrap-up, so if you want to hear more about it, you can go watch that video. But I will say I'm finding this a very intriguing series already. There are a lot of books in it, so I have a long way to go. Fortunately, I picked up the first 10 or 11 at a used library book sale. That was very nice. This book features Anna Pigeon, who's a national park ranger, and she goes about solving crimes in a different national park in every book. Now, the optional prompt 8 is C is for ChatGPT. Go ahead and ask ChatGPT to recommend your next book. I'm going to pass on that one since I pretty much don't want to have anything to do with AI as much as I can help it anyway. Thanks for joining me today for this video. I really appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed yet, think about doing so. If you like this kind of content, I would love to have you with me. Until next time, I'm wishing you lots of happy reading.